So in this Snare Saturday series, you have seen snares that are made out of metal, acrylic, and solid shell. Now in this video, we're going to talk a bit more about solid shells and one of my favorite alternative woods. What's going on, everybody? Nick Costa here, and welcome to another Snare Saturday series video where I will be showcasing a MCD Solid Shell Beechwood snare drum. Just like I mentioned in the Ludwig 95th anniversary solid maple snare video, solid shells, it's one piece of wood that is steam bent into a shell. Now before we dive into the specs and a little bit more about this drum, make sure that you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification. That way you're notified of any additional content that I upload to the channel. Now this particular drum is made out of beechwood, which is one of my favorite alternative wood species because it's super lightweight and it has a pretty broad tuning range in my opinion. Now before I dive into the specs of this shell, let's talk about the brand for a second, MCD. You're going to notice in this Snare Saturday series that all of the drums for the most part are going to be either from Ludwig or from MCD. Now MCD stands for Mastercrafted Drums, and we were a drum company based out of Philadelphia, PA. I started working with MCD starting about 2010, and we focused on steam bent solid drums. Now my primary role with MCD was more artist relations and publicity, although I did help out with building the drums as well. Now this particular drum I did not help out with building. Now this particular drum was built before my time building with MCD. However, I used to scour the internet and look for any of the drums on the used market. This one in particular popped up as a used snare drum on Guitar Center's website, and I was able to actually get it for $250. And if you are familiar with steam bent solids, then you know that the shell alone costs more than that. So once I got the drum, I noticed that the tension rods were rusted out, and that's the reason why they priced it so low. And that was a super easy fix because all I had to do was buy new tension rods. So enough about the backstory, let's talk about the configuration of it. When it comes to steam bent solids, we would actually make our shells 1/4 inch thick. So this is one piece of beechwood that was steamed and bent and glued together at the scarf joint, and maple re-rings were applied to it. So the only glue that is on this shell is for that scarf joint and the re-rings on the top and bottom. The finish of this drum is a darker red stain, and if you look carefully, you're going to notice that there is a micro flake in the clear coat to give it a little bit more of a unique finish. Hardware, we have 2.3 triple flange hoops on it, so that way the drum is as open and resonant as possible. And then as far as the lugs are concerned, there are 10 All-Star lugs. All-Star was a USA brand that milled their lugs here in the States, and we were a big fan of using them on the drums. Now, as far as the throw-off is concerned, it is a trick multi-positioned throw-off, and it had the newer MCD logo engraved into it. This came standard on all of our snare drums. Finally, the drum has a 1/2 inch air grommet towards the bottom of the shell, because if you think about it from a physics perspective, you are striking a drum and that velocity is causing that top head to start to resonate and then travel down the shell to the bottom head. We'd rather have that air escaping once it gets to the bottom than the top. So just like every other snare demo that I do, I'm going to play this drum through a few different tunings so you can hear the range and probably a sound that you prefer. You're also going to notice when it comes to solid shells, your tuning range is a little bit broader than maybe a ply shell or even a metal shell. This is because since it is one piece of wood, it doesn't choke out as easily when you start getting into those higher tunings. So enough of me talking, let's dive into the playing. As you can hear with beechwood, it has a lot of body to it, which is a good thing if that's the sound that you're going for. At the same time, you can start to tune this up a bit higher, get more of an attack and a crack out of the drum, and it doesn't sound like the drum is choked out. Now, regardless of that, I would love to get your feedback and what you thought of the drum, so make sure you leave it in the comment section below, letting me know. Also, if you have any other additional questions, you can also leave that in the comment section, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up. That way it makes it a little bit easier for others to find it here on YouTube. And that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video on the 6.5X14 MCD Solid Beechwood snare drum. And until next time, see you later.